All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are you out there? I am Big Mike, and right now you are tuned in to the best blog on YouTube. Damn right, I just said it. So I know that sounds very cocky and bold, but I have to toot my own horn, otherwise you guys will be bored and not watch it. So you are tuned in to Big Mike's blog. I am Big Mike, of course, your humble host. I hope you guys are doing great. I'm doing fantastic. You know, my blogs are getting a little bit better now. I'm adding music and intros and stuff to it now. I'm trying to get all fancy with it and stuff. But I hope you guys are doing all great out there. I'm glad that people are watching my blog so far. So I want to thank you guys who are watching it and are loving it. I'm trying to bring you awesome content as much as I can. My schedule is pretty big, pretty hectic. Unfortunately, I work 3 jobs, so I don't have as much time as I would like to do blogs. But when I do have a chance to do a blog, I will definitely do it, and I will post it for you lovely folks to hopefully see it and like it, or just hate on it and think it's terrible and judge it and all that good stuff too. So anyway, without further ado, I want to get into this topic. This topic is a little bit near and dear to my heart. It's a topic that actually a friend gave me a suggestion on to talk about and get my opinions on. I've been waiting for a few weeks to kind of discuss it because I wasn't sure kind of the angle that I wanted to take. But after long thinking, I have decided to talk about this. And this is a topic that's a little bit near and dear to my heart because I deal with this on a regular basis. Because as you know, or if you don't know, I work at youth. I'm a counselor at 2 different homeless shelters in the city of Toronto. One's a youth shelter, one's a male shelter only. And I've been doing this for about 2 years now. So the topic I'm going to be discussing is mental health, specifically different mental health like bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, a lot of these things, and how people perceive them and ways that people can look at them in a different light. And rather than looking at them the way that generally they're looked at and perceived, trying to look at them from a different light. And I'll discuss kind of the reasons why I feel this way based off my own personal experiences and my own dealings with my clientele that I deal with, and just overall. And hopefully you guys look at this and watch it, and you guys can give me your opinion. You're free to comment on it on here, and just let me know ultimately what you think of it. So to get into it, my friend basically had asked me my take on bipolar disorder, because she kind of had dealt with it in her life, and she sees it more as a gift. She doesn't see it as an illness, which is good, which is a good thing to look at it as. And she just kind of wanted to get my take on how, I guess, I see it, and just, I guess, ways, you know, how to deal with it. So for her, from my standpoint, I'll talk first about the bipolar. I've seen kids at the shelter who have bipolar disorder. There are some that can function. There's some that cannot function. So we can't paint it all with the same brush. But I still feel like, to some degree, I think these disorders, like especially with bipolar, if you get them the right help and the right supports, you can manage. I think the problem in some cases with bipolar disorder and other disorders is there's not the supports that are needed that these people that have these disorders that the people that have the disorders have. They're not being supported and treated the right ways. And unfortunately, some of these kids or some of these adults, let's say, they fall through the cracks because they're not being properly supported. And it's a shame, yes. And hopefully we can, you know, as a society, also in the mental health community, we can find ways to kind of better support these people because they do need these supports. Full disclosure for myself, for example, I mean, I can give you an example for myself. I suffered through depression, 2 serious bouts of depression. The last one was about, say about 12 years ago. It was very suicidal. Didn't see my life as anything of purpose, of any of meaning. And when I had actually went to go see a counselor, I was kind of put off because the only thing he wanted to do is prescribe me medication and put me on meds, rather than actually kind of get to the root of why I felt the way I felt. His notion was, oh, okay, so you want to go to the hospital? They can give you medication. I can prescribe you. I can go take you to a doctor and get you prescribed medication. And now I'm saying this because for myself, I didn't feel like I needed to be medicated. I felt like I needed to discuss what was going on with me, and for him to kind of give me a better idea of what was going on with me, ways I could kind of combat it and going forward. Because I had been going through depression before, and I was seeing a counselor prior, and she was helping me along by just talking to me about it and giving me tips and ways I can kind of help myself along the process. Because I was going, it was a tough. That time was a very tough time for me. I just got out of juvie. And it was that whole 2 years was probably the roughest 2 years of my life. And I felt alone. I felt like no one cared. I didn't feel like I didn't have to, like, if I was going through what I went through then, now I have a shitload of supports. I have friends, I have family that I can turn to. But at that time, I didn't have those supports. I basically felt like I was going through this alone. And when you're young and you're going through something like depression or any mental health, and you feel like you don't have anyone to support you and help you, that's hard. So for me, it was a very difficult time. But luckily, obviously, I made it through all that, and I'm now being able to take the stuff that I've dealt with now and try to put it into something constructive and positive and try to help these kids to some degree. Like my shift partner that I work with, I told her that I had been to juvie, and she was like, "Well, so that's why you're so nice to the kids." I'm like, I'm not always nice to the kids. I'm nice to them sometimes, but not all the time. But no, I just feel like with mental health, it's a very dicey and topic, because I think people just paint everyone with a brush with it, and I don't think people really take the time to really sit down and look at why they have this behavior, and also ways to better combat the behavior. Like there's some, and don't get me wrong, there are some people that their disorder is so bad that some of them, in some cases, need the medication or need to be medicated to better help them along. Because, for example, I can't obviously disclose the guy's name or anything like that, but there's a youth at the shelter that I was dealing with last year, and he was medicated last year, and he was fine. He had legal problems and stuff like that, but he was overall a good kid. And this year, actually, he was off his meds, and he's basically a mess. He's gotten charged with hitting his mother. He's very non-responsive to people. I had a conversation with him. He's very delusional. He thinks he's dating an R&B singer. He thinks he said that he has a 1-year-old son, and he doesn't even have a child. Like, that's how bad his mental health is gone. Now I say, but I don't know where he is now. Unfortunately, my hope is that he's getting the necessary help that he needs, and the supports that he needs. And I pray for him. I really just pray for him. Now, there's the flip side, and this is the flip side from the standpoint of, there's a kid that was there last year who everyone assumed, I guess, that he had mental health, issues. But I never got that vibe from him. I just thought he was a really intelligent kid. We had a conversation about last year, me and this guy, about just life in general and his overall philosophy and outlook on life in general. And he kept telling me about a magazine that he wanted to do, and it's going to take over Toronto and blah, blah, blah. And I remember I told, I think, his caseworker about that.